Venice. I've been obsessed with this incredible city for almost half my life. In 1998, my wife and I arrived on the overnight train from Naples and discovered a magical world of ancient palaces and churches where canals replace streets, boats replace cars, and bridges are everywhere. I dreamed of returning to Venice for the next 20 years. What would it be like to actually live in such a place? Would the crowds drive you crazy? Or would you learn to ignore them? Or maybe avoid them altogether by disappearing into unknown alleyways, secret little squares, and hidden gardens. Would you get used to being surrounded by so much beauty? Despite a short family visit to Venice in 2018, I still felt like 95% of the city and lagoon were unknown to me. In 2021, I became obsessed with learning Italian, and by the summer of 2022, I could carry on a conversation. With Europe officially reopened for visitors, I was ready to go back to Venice. I set my sights on October 2022, but this time I would go alone. With a house, a cat, and a daughter in school, it just wasn't possible for my wife to come along. Knowing I would be by myself, I was determined to make the most of my time in Venice and not treat this as a simple sightseeing vacation. So I set myself a number of challenges. My first goal was to take 1 or 2 classic Venice photographs, suitable for framing. My second goal, despite having basically no filmmaking experience, was to create a short film about the city and its people, a typical day from morning to night, set to music and shot and edited cinematically. My third goal was to explore as much as possible, especially places where tourists rarely go. I would take a private boat tour and investigate the mysterious and dangerous ruins of a mental hospital on a forbidden island. My fourth goal was to speak only in Italian with the people I met along the way, to have real conversations with Italians in their own language. And finally, I wanted to buy groceries, cook my own meals, and ultimately find out what it's truly like to actually live in this one-of-a-kind world of water and stone. So I booked a couple Airbnbs, bought my plane ticket, acquired some camera gear I didn't really know how to use, and got to packing. But this time it wouldn't be just a few days, or a week, or even 2 weeks. This time I would be living alone in the city of my dreams for 3 full weeks. Join me and see if I succeeded in the challenges that I set out for myself. Well, I landed in Venice and I'm at the airport, walking along towards the water taxis. I asked the guy in Italian to go through the entire Grand Canal, and it's not cheap, but I think it'll be worth it. It's a great way to enter the city of Venice. Weird being here. It's kind of dreamlike. Maybe because I just got here, maybe because the city itself is so enchanting and beautiful and quaint. It's almost like it's not real, and it's almost like seeing it for the first time, getting that feeling, that sort of indescribable feeling of arriving in Venice. I don't know, it does feel magical and unreal in some weird way. Hard to believe I'm going to be here for 3 weeks. It feels, at this moment, feels like an eternity ahead of me. I'm going to really have time to settle in and try to talk to some of the locals. I've been talking to the taxi driver, and yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. bridge that leads over to my door. It's got typical views. Of course, you can't see these views from the inside. And there's, this is all kind of above where I'm staying. So then you go down here. My place is right here. That's the door. Those are my windows of my living room. I shut them because I didn't want, you can see right in, people can just look right in. So, yep. I love the fact that this door, which has clearly been bricked up for many, 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 many years, possibly 100 years, 200 years, I don't know when they put those bricks in. But I love the fact that it still has an address, a new address, a newly painted address, clearly from recent decades, even though it is literally a wall. It's a wall that used to be a door, and it has an official address sign. Now this door is another thing that I like about Venice. I guess from the video, maybe it looks like a regular door. I don't know. Can you tell anything weird about it? It's only as tall as, oops, it's here on me, like comes up my neck. It's like a 5 foot tall door, which is not normal at all. It looks like somebody's actual door though. It's got a handle, it's got a mail slot, and boy, I'd love to see what's on the other side of that. The regular doors, look how tall that one is. Yeah, that's a regular one. Actually, you can see it's 2 feet short at least. Went out looking for a gelateria that was supposedly in this area. Didn't find it, so now I'm just wandering around. It's my first night in Venice. I'm not super tired, even though I didn't get any sleep last night. So we'll see what happens. Went shopping, got some groceries. If you've ever been to Venice or read a guidebook or even watched a video about going to Venice, you've almost certainly heard the old adage, get lost in Venice. Go ahead, get lost, it's fine. It's an island, you can't really, nothing bad can happen. You'll come to the edge and there's signs and it's an island. So go ahead and get lost in Venice. Well, I can tell you from personal experience that it's not that simple. I went out to get some gelato. It was just a little ways away from my apartment. I had Google Maps. I was fine. But all of a sudden it was pitch black. There was nobody around. It was like being lost in a maze, and my phone was down to 10%. And that can go very quickly when you're using Google Maps. And you suddenly get this panicky feeling, and it's quite frightening. And that's exactly the feeling that I had when I was lost in Venice. I was turned around. I didn't know which way was which. I didn't know which was north, south, east, west. All I had for my apartment was the address. I did have the address written down on a piece of paper in my wallet, but I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know any of the landmarks. This was not a neighborhood I'd ever been in, and there were no other people around. There were no people who lived there. There were no tourists, and I was afraid that I would have a lot of difficulty getting back to my apartment. Luckily, I was finally able to, I don't even remember what I did. Maybe I took a screenshot of Google Maps and analyzed it, or maybe I just said, I'm just gonna go with Google Maps until my battery runs out, until I find a landmark. But eventually I got back to some place that I recognized. All right, everybody says get lost in Venice, and I literally just got lost and my phone was down to 10%, and it's nighttime, and I had no idea where I was or how to get back. And if my phone had died, I would have been in big trouble, but I managed to get back to where I know where I am, so actually it was a little bit scary. Hey guys, I just got up. It's like 5:30 in the morning, and I just wanted to say that I noticed that this room, this is the bedroom of my apartment, my Airbnb, I think it's the quietest place I've ever been in my life. It is absolutely silent. And what I realize is, even at our house back home in America, there's, even in the middle of the night, There's always some kind of background noise. But here there is nothing. There's absolutely nothing. This apartment doesn't have anything running. Nobody's awake. I actually put my hands up to my ears a couple times to see if I still had an earplug in. And it's weird, like I had to make a noise in order to convince myself that, yeah, my hearing is still working, because it is so utterly silent. It's about 7 a.m. and I'm heading towards San Marco to make a time lapse. There's a few people out, but just a couple, not very many. And yeah, I've been up since 3 in the morning, so it's very early. I don't really know which way to go. Well, I just asked a guy who was sweeping the street if I could film him, and he said no. So hopefully I asked him the right question. Anyway, he was nice. Continuing on. Shooting my first time lapse here. See the camera going. I've got a nice view of the impending sunrise, and there's a lot of people kind of walking by, bags and various things, people jogging and stuff, so it should be good because well, I'm down at the eastern end of Venice where there's various parks and little bits of kind of forest land, as you can see behind me. I haven't been vlogging much, just been kind of seeing the sights, shooting some video, just walking around, getting a lunch. There's a lot of people around. It's always a little weird to talk in front of a bunch of people. So yeah, this is my first time really traveling very much far from home by myself without my wife and my daughter. And it's definitely a weird experience being by yourself if you haven't done it before, traveling, because there's nobody to just turn and say, hey, look at that, that's cool, or wow, did you see that thing over there? Let's go over here, let's do this, let's do that. It's more just, you're just kind of doing stuff and there you are. You can take a picture, you can shoot a video, but there's nobody to share it with immediately in that moment. And that's, it definitely takes some getting used to if you've mostly traveled with other people, as I have. So far I can't say how much I like it. I guess I like it fine. Can't say I love it. It has pros and cons. It's nice to be able to just make a decision, do what you want, but at the same time, it's a little bit lonely. So there's that. And that's it for the first episode of my Venice vlog series. I really appreciate your watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving it a thumbs up. I also love it when there's a comment. Comments really make my day. So if you have anything to say about the video, good or bad, please leave me a comment. I would love to read that and respond. There's a lot more to come from my Venice vlog series. I've got a tour of Poveglia, which is an island that is basically forbidden to go to, with an old, dangerous, crumbling mental hospital, and so that was a pretty intense experience. I've also got a full apartment tour coming up. I've got another grocery haul coming up from what I bought in Venice, and of course my experiences along the way in creating my short film and just living there and what it was like to be living in Venice for 3 weeks. So please continue watching this Venice series, and I'll see you in the next one.